highways to my heart. One country road led me to the schoolhouse by the meadow, and one country road to the churchyard where my mum and daddy lie. One dusty road where I strolled with a loved one in the shadows, and one dusty road that led me on my journey far away. Oh, roads from Glenalmaddie, oh, roads that drift apart, oh, roads to Glenalmaddie are the four dusty byways to my heart. Four roads from Glenalmaddie, four roads that drift apart, four roads to Glenalmaddie are the four dusty byways to my heart. The four country highways to my heart.
Ocean FM, the perfect music mix. Big Tom there and Four Country Roads. Now, it is Wednesday morning, so that means that we are joined in studio by Gabriel McSharry, a nutritionist and medical herbalist. Good morning, Gabriel.
Good morning, Margaret.
Now, this morning, you are going to be speaking to us about irritable bowel syndrome and indeed about bloatedness and all this. It's all sort of related. But if listeners have questions, you can text us now to 083 3500 530 or call us at 0818 365 500. Now, we're concentrating on irritable bowel syndrome this morning. We had a lot of people ringing us in last week about being bloated and what causes it and irritable bowel syndrome. And you were saying to me off air that it can sort of be related, same thing.
Definitely, yeah. So IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome, is a gastrointestinal disorder. So mainly it's a disorder of the digestive system, and it's very common. It represents 30 to 50% of all referrals to gastroenterologists, which is their doctors specialising in the digestive system.
Mm-hmm. And is this all got to do with your diet, maybe eating too much fatty foods or not eating properly? Or
Well, diet definitely plays a major role, but it tends to be diet and lifestyle. So it's kind of a number of things, and it needs to be addressed the same way by addressing diet, lifestyle, and herbal medicines work quite well too, you know.
Right. And what are the symptoms of IBS?
Yeah, so there's two main symptoms that distinguish it, and they're abdominal pain, so a pain on the lower right or left side or both. And the other main symptom is altered bowel habit, so and this occurs in 90% of all people who suffer from it. But it's kind of a syndrome that can be split into three categories. And there's like IBS diarrhea, IBS in different ways. Some people have diarrhea with it and pain. Some people have constipation with it and pain. And some people alternate between the two, diarrhea, constipation, and have pain. So
is it severe pain, Gabriel?
It can be. And there was some research into some sufferers that maybe they have an attenuated sense of pain coming from their gut lining, but there was no, there were varying the results of the trial, so it wasn't in everyone. But some people, it can hurt them a lot, or they can suffer a lot of pain, and some just a discomfort. But yeah, I mean, say the IBS diarrhea, it tends to occur in the morning times. They have frequent bowel motions, and then it kind of settles in the day. And then with the constipation, it can mean kind of infrequent trips to the bathroom and sensitive straining.
And would they feel sick with it, like that their tummy is sick?
Definitely, yeah.
Is it getting sick?
Yeah, it can have kind of secondary symptoms of nausea, Some people vomit, but not many. But you can have this kind of sickly feeling. So any time there's any kind of disorder or ailment in your digestive system, be it lower down in IBS, it can also affect the upper gastrointestinal system. So you can feel sick to the stomach and kind of nauseous and just unwell. And I mean, because this can go long term, people can get anxious about it. And I've met people who are afraid to leave their home, emotional level as well. And there's other less common symptoms such as dysphagia, so kind of trouble swallowing and stuff. Urinary frequency, so it can also affect the bladder, where your kind of bladder is irritable as well,
Now, what is the cause of it?
Well, the cause is currently unknown. There's a few strong leads. The fact that symptoms may be worse during or just before a menstrual period in women or in times of stress, that points to the fact that it could be a hormonal link. Now, it is more common in women. Women are more susceptible than men. And there's other research to show that there could be an infectious cause. So I think it's 25% of people with IBS can date the start of it back to like a foodborne illness, so food poisoning or just an infection of the gut. So that could be the start of it, yet a lot of research done into ongoing infections in the gut have shown the results have been kind of a mismatch, so that's not definite either. Also, there's, as we mentioned, diet, definitely a dietary link, and possible allergies to certain foods could trigger it off.
And can you do an allergy test for people who think that if I eat tomatoes or apples or chips, I feel sick after them?
Yeah, there's a number of allergy test methods out there. I don't have any machine or testing in the clinic. I base it on symptoms and history. The reason being is there's a lot of tests out there. There's blood tests which sometimes test for only a true allergy, so a true immune response after you're exposed to the allergen, and that tends to be like for shellfish and dander and peanuts, but it doesn't pick up sensitivities. So then there's other electronic machines and they can pick up some sensitivities, but by and large I found the results very ambiguous, and there's certain hyperallergens. There's about 8 of them, and things like wheat, dairy, soy, nuts, and they tend to be the main culprits. And if you can work out which one or which 2 or 3 of them is the problem, get the person to omit that from the diet for a period of time, and they'll notice themselves, and then they can start adding them back in. And obviously, if symptoms return, then take it back out, and so on. So that's the method I use. I find it works quite well. But all my dietary recommendations I give in conjunction with herbal medicines.
So are there nutritional guidelines that help them?
Yeah. Probiotics are a big one. I mentioned them last week. They're
is that the yogurts and all that sort of thing?
Yogurts, and they're the good bacteria in the gut, we'll say. And you can get it, we get it from lacto-fermented foods. So they're yogurts.
Are there fruits in that help, like something that you might have at home that you wouldn't think of, rather than going buying yogurts if you're not someone that likes yogurts? Or is there anything like that?
Yeah, not really. No. Fruits don't contain probiotics. They do contain beneficial fibres, there's no doubt, but the probiotics need to come from lacto-fermented foods, and I mean the commonest example in Ireland is yogurts, but say in Germany they have sauerkraut, in Korea they have kimchi, and there's other kind of drinks that are lacto-fermented in a traditional way, but we can get them in the wee drinks now in the supermarket. Unfortunately, they apply them with sugar, but you can get them in capsule as well. But in my opinion, the best place to get it is a good quality yogurt that maybe you make yourself, and then that ensures that you have quite a lot of these beneficial bacteria. But it's a bit more complex than that, in that that's how you add back in the bacteria into your gut. But there's certain things in our environment and our diet that kill these bacteria, so it's important to kind of, as much as possible, remove them from diet or environment. And there are things like, a lot of the washing up liquids and the detergents and stuff like that, they have an adverse effect on them. Even things in our water like chlorine, fluoride, they've shown to change the microflora of the gut. But mainly in diets, you have pesticides, herbicides, chemicals added to food. They all affect them.
So you're saying organic, are you?
Yeah, organic is definitely best. Yeah, because again, you're reducing the exposure to these chemicals from environment and diet. But also high sugar diets will they'll feed the kind of bad guys in the gut and suppress the good guys, and processed carbohydrates, So these type of things really should be omitted for anyone with IBS, and should stick to organic if possible, but definitely fresh foods with no preservatives and no chemicals added to them.
So it's all about diet and eating healthily. Okay, we have a quick break to take, and we're back with more, and we have a lot of questions coming as well, which we'll try and get to. The Dolman Stone Letterkenny time, it's 22 minutes past 11 o'clock.
With thanks to Dolman Stone Letterkenny, the Northwest leading supplier of cut stone, decorative stone and stone cladding. Also stocking paving and topsoil. 074 916 8820. dolmanstone.com. Ocean FM.
Moyloff Furniture, Tubbercurry. 28 years experience with quality handmade fitted kitchen and bedroom furniture. Drop into their showroom or call 071 9185 220.
Donlan Plantara Construction Limited. Old Cartron Hill, Sligo. C2 and fully insured. Specialising in tar and chip driveways. Any size job considered. Attractive and low cost. Easy maintenance. Contact Keith anytime on 087 6137 658.
The Debenhams New Season Spectacular. Up to 25% off throughout the store. Starts today, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m.
The Embassy Wine Bar and Grill, Sligo's most chic dining experience. Modern cuisine seasoned with style. Early bird special offered Sunday to Friday, 5:30 to 7 p.m. Only €25 per person, including a complimentary glass of house wine. Reservations recommended. Call 071 9161250 or visit embassygrill.eu.
The Tommy Hilfiger Sligo 70% off sale is now on for 1 week only, and there's wall-to-wall clear-out of men's, ladies and children's wear stock with 70% off all stock. The Tommy Hilfiger Sligo 70% off sale is now on and must end Saturday the 12th at 6 p.m.
Zahir Restaurant, Castle Street, Sligo. Above Centra. European food, fresh food at great prices. Lunch and dinner menus available. Telephone 071 914 7637.
Inside this week's Donegal Post, residents critical over promises made on Mount Charles's dangerous road. Cope recycles his Euro posters. In Lisbon, yes appeal. There's the Blair Ballyshannon Passport Project, and we have our regular House and Home supplement. In sport, it's semi-final time in the GAA Senior Championship and Surfs Up in Bundoran. First past the post every time. It's the Donegal Post, out now.
To have your say, call the Northwest Today comment line on 0818 365 500. Text your comment to 083 3500 530.
And you're welcome back to the programme. We're joined in studio by Gabriel McSharry, nutritionist and medical herbalist, and we're talking about irritable bowel syndrome, IBS. Now, herbal medicines that are effective in the treating of IBS.
Yeah, there's some that are very effective and some that are mildly effective that just kind of alleviate symptoms and that. There's some with a bit of research on it. Cynara scomolis, it's one of the artichoke family. It's shown quite beneficial in clinical trials, shown a 27% reduction in the incidence and normalization of bowel function. Other herbs, there's research done on plantago, which is psyllium seeds or husk, and they are beneficial fibres, and they've shown to be quite beneficial, especially in IBS with constipation. Some good research on peppermint oil, the volatile oil from the peppermint leaf, and it's shown pretty positive in clinical trials. Taken over 4 weeks can largely improves diarrhea and the bloating and the constipation, and things like that. So that's I find that very good for an adjunct of the treatment to control the symptoms. And I also use herbs to kind of get to a possible underlying cause. So obviously herbs are best used based on the cause, and if there's a possible infectious component, as I mentioned earlier, then you'd use kind of antimicrobials or antifungal herbs, and they work very well. Things like golden seal, hydrastis. Garlic is very good, that's a good thing that can be added to the diet. Meadowsweet is a great herb for the gut. And if it's the case where it's linked to the nervous system. So as I said, it tends to get exacerbated by stress and anxiety. So people who have just nervous system disorders are a little bit more anxiety than the average person. Nervine sedatives like valerian hops, chamomile, lemon balm work really well. Hypericum is a great one here. And as I mentioned too, there's a hormonal link, and obviously when I see women with irregular cycles and stuff would also have IBS, I definitely put in herbs to treat the hormonal components, and so it's very much based on what's going on for the person. Obviously, people with constipation, there's herbs that are really good laxatives, mild laxatives, but then digestive tonics to kind of normalise bowel function. And there's different herbs then you might use in diarrhea. So again, it really depends on how the person presents and what kind of type of IBS they have.
Mm-hmm. Now, some of the questions that are coming in. This listener wants to know, can you talk about Candida? Is it
Yeah, Candida albicans. It's, I suppose, it's a fungus that's talked quite a lot about, and it can overgrow in the intestinal tract. It's supposed to be there, by the way, so, but it's supposed to be there in small amounts, and it shouldn't overgrow too much. But if someone's gut bacteria, beneficial bacteria, is reduced for whatever reason, they might take antibiotics, they might be eating a highly processed diet. Candida can overgrow, so it's not kept in check by the good bacteria, and there's problems. It can cause problems there. One is that with a fungus, it can join onto the gut wall, and when it does that, it can create a lot of problems, and people can mount an immune response to the fungus, and that can cause a lot of bloating, flatulence, and so on. Again, there's really some good herbs, antifungal herbs and anti-candida herbs that I use in this incidence.
Okay. Now, this lady called, she had her womb removed, but she still has a lot of pain and a lot of bloating in her stomach. Is there a reason for this?
Yeah, it could possibly be IBS, linked to the gastrointestinal tract as opposed to the reproductive system. But, with IBS, it mainly affects the bowel, but it can affect the neighbouring organs. So the bladder, it can cause people to have frequent urination, so sometimes they get up in the night to urinate. And with the womb and ovaries being in that area, it could have caused the pain there as well. So maybe she should look into kind of diet and herbs for more IBS, and that'd help her,
Mm-hmm. Now, we have a lot of questions in about Crohn's disease and colitis, and they're sort of related, and it's something that you were saying off air that we need to do rather than 2 or 3 minutes on it. We need to probably do a full.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease are they're inflammatory bowel diseases, and even though they share some symptoms with irritable bowel syndrome, they're quite different. I'd say them as more severe diseases, and diet is very important here, and herbs can help. A lot of these people are taking a lot of medication, and their quality of life is largely reduced because it can be really serious diseases. So it's something I think we should do a whole show on. Really,
right.
because
So yeah, we'll include it for a whole show. And just before we let you go, a lady spoke to me as well, or texted as well, about rosacea. And I know she texted in last week, but we're going to do it on the show next week.
Yeah.
We'll talk about rosacea.
We'll
next
talk
week.
about rosacea and other type of maybe acne, skin conditions related to acne.
Okay.
And autoimmune conditions with the skin, which is what rosacea is.
Okay, what would cause soreness rather than pain under the rib cage, left hand side?
Prior to menstruation. So in the week before a menstrual cycle, symptoms tend to be worse, bloating, altered bowel habit. And in that incidence, I definitely would put in hormonal herbs, because it does signify that there's maybe an imbalance in the hormones as well,
Okay. Now, so those are what we're going to deal with next week. Now, we have a lot of people looking how they can contact you, Gabriel.
Yeah, well, the phone number of the clinic's 07191 22832. I have a website too. It's westernherbalmedicine.com. People can read a bit more about herbs and what I do, and my email is on that. So that's westernherbalmedicine.com. westernherbalmedicine.com, or indeed we have your numbers as well on file here as well, so our listeners can send in the questions. And next week we're going to deal with, as you say, acne related and rosacea and skin problems, and then we have to deal with. And good morning, Peter.
Good morning, Margaret. How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm not too bad. It's actually a little bit sunny over here in Blackline.
It's sunny in Blackline. Well, that's good, and it's sunny here as well. So the sun is shining, so that's not too bad.
Let's hope it stays a while.
Exactly. So, Peter, what are we going to be talking about today?
Well, I thought today we should start looking a little bit at what we call the New World countries. We've spent a few weeks looking at Europe, the Old World countries. So I thought we'd concentrate today on Australia, New Zealand, and then we can look at other New World countries over the next couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no problem at all. So what are New World wines? Why are they so successful here?
Well, now, I suppose we have to bear in mind that they have a much shorter history of making wine, maybe a couple of 100 years as against 2,000 years in Europe. So they're newer to it. But for that reason, it's a very ultra-modern, high-tech, well-financed, successful business. And they've come in, when a lot of the developments have already been done and are so successful in Ireland is mainly because they're consumer-friendly. Mm-hmm. Now, by that I mean they've got very easy labels to read. They've got back labels which tell you what the guy had for breakfast